Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to become a great tackler. So you're going to need both of these sides, okay? So you're going to need something before tackle and you're going to need contact, okay? How to be good in contact. You need both sides to become a great tackler. And that goes for rugby league, rugby union. This is going to help people with kids that are, 6 all the way up to if you're an advanced rugby player. You might be missing one of these. You might not be tracking very well, and just simply fixing your tracking will fix up all of this side as well. And I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to show you why as well. So that's really important to me. If you like our content, please check out all our other videos. We do a lot about strength and conditioning, but I also love tackling, and I've taught a lot of tackling. We've run lots of clinics for 8 weeks long, and we have our tackling program. So the tackling program is what we run at our clinics, and I just like to see what works. And I'm going to give you a rundown of what I found to work for kids, for older kids, for teenagers, and for adults. So in the tackle, okay, before we even make the tackle, this is probably the most important part, okay? Obviously contact is very important too, but if you miss these steps here, all right, it makes this, the contact side, really, really hard. Okay, so the first thing you need to look at is being able to identify who you're going to tackle, okay, and having some communication. Now, if you have a little one, okay, under 8s or 9s, whenever they start actually tackling, that's not going to happen, right? They're all bunched up, they're just going wherever. Usually the kids with older brothers who've been tackling a lot already because they're versing their older brothers, they'll be the ones running up and smashing each other. All right, I'm going to teach you how to help your kids get to that level though. So, the first thing is, if you're a bit older, you need to start looking at identifying who you got, being able to point someone out and looking at the spaces in front of you, and you'll see, okay, I've got this guy, you're talking to the guy next to you, you're talking to the other guy on the other side of you, and you're actually starting to identify who you're going to have, and you're having that communication. That is your key right there, okay? Along with your spacing and all this stuff that will come along as you get better. Okay, having that identification and the communication, I should add in knowing where you should be, okay, in that defense line, knowing your position, all right, knowing how your team is going to defend. So you have different defense structures, okay, knowing how your team is and then working within that. But that will also come under comms. Okay, so that is the most crucial thing you can start doing. If you're a young rugby player and you're watching this, or you've got a young rugby player, please help them with their identification. Just get them to start talking, pointing someone out. And what you can do is or any of your drills, you get them to start talking, being like, I've got this guy, even if they're right next to each other. Just get them to say the words, I've got him, I've got Boots, I've got whatever. Okay, and just get them in the habit of being able to talk out loud. Okay, and just getting rid of that fear of doing that. Obviously, fitness will play a role too, because if you're really unfit, it's pretty quickly the comms go too. So moving forward, all right, so once we've identified, we've got our communication, if you are staying flat-footed and if you're not moving forward, which is, you look at kids, this is a big difference, a lot of them don't move forward. You look at even adults, you look at best teams, what happens when they start to fatigue is they stop moving forward, they start just letting the teams come to them. And even if you take one step forward, it is a big difference to staying still and letting them come to you, which means they're always hitting the advantage line and they're getting the advantage. If you can just take a couple steps forward, all right, doesn't matter if you play rugby league, rugby union, if you can get forward, all right, that's going to help you. You have a bit of momentum with you, all right, and then you have to worry about your tracking. Now, this is probably our biggest. Putting someone where you want to tackle them. Okay, so you're going to try and line someone up, okay, either on their inside shoulder or outside shoulder, depending where they are. So here's a clinic I did for a bush rugby club in Grafton, and same thing, like you're teaching these guys to move forward, to take the space, and then be on their toes, right? Learn how to track. Which side are they going to put them? Which side are they going to put the player on? The good thing about doing a drill like this is you can use it as a warm-up, but you'll see straight away when people aren't used to moving forward, they'll only move sideways a few steps. compared to the players that really get forward. Like this example right there, he hardly got forward, and that's why it made it really hard for him to even get hands on the guy. Once again, this guy is staying back. So it's a great first tool to get people moving forward. Obviously, you can say, oh, you know, this guy's mine if you would like, but it's a great tool. And it's a great thing for you to actually just get repetitions here. If you can get repetitions here and you can start shutting down players and getting forward, that's going to convert to the field. Learning how to track, and you see it at professional levels where professionals get this wrong a lot, and they could probably do with a lot more tracking. Maybe though some of them have injuries on shoulders and they don't want to tackle with that shoulder. That is also a possibility. But tracking is a huge one. And so drills you can do for tracking, and one I really like is setting up a square. I'll put it here somewhere. You set up a square and you're just going side to side, and you start off, this works really well for kids, but even adults, like it works really well. And you just got one person running straight and the other person coming to side on. All right, you do that a few times. Okay, and then you're going to move on to letting that person step, okay, and they can either go stay straight or step, okay, and then you can turn that into a game, okay. Once you turn it into a game, it's like they can go anywhere, which means the defender has to then be able to line them up, okay, and try and put them on a side, okay, and that is the key, because you can actually put someone on a side and you can make them go where you want to, all right. They might step, but if you are prepared for them to step and you are in the right position, and that's what your tracking will do, the contact side becomes easier, okay? Because all this stuff, all of what you'll see in a sec, will become so much easier. All right, so if we get these three right before contact, these are real keys. And like, this stuff really doesn't take any contact. People go, oh, you know, I don't want to do a lot of contact stuff. I'm going to get hurt, yada, yada, yada. All excuses in my books. But you can do this, non-contact. You can do this one, very light contact. Okay, and that will probably get you more results than anything. Okay, so if you can do that, actually I should say with the tracking, I do know some guys called, they're doing a speed, what's it called, they're using a tracker. It's like a big cord, and you go. It goes between you and a defender, or you and an attacker, and it's a really good visual aid. Okay, for you. I'll put the link down below, so I'll jump on that link. But yeah, it's a really good visual aid for you to be able to see what's happening and see how you're not tracking correctly, or if you are tracking correctly. And visual aids are really good for kids, but adults too. Like, if you can go and watch footage, so if you're doing some tackling, set up a phone and record it, okay? Do a few, have a look what's happening, and then adjust. That is the quickest way for you to get better. All right, so let's look at contact. So these are big ones too. So people get this wrong a lot, okay? They don't know how to late dip. And then so what I do with kids especially is I get them to reps and reps and reps and reps of how to dip. Okay, how to get that split. Okay, how to split their legs and be in a strong position where they're going to put their shoulder in. And you'll notice, especially as you go through the ages, the better kids are less afraid. And they're less afraid because they've probably done more of it, either with older brothers or they've done some sort of wrestling. Okay, so get into the late dip, okay? And the late dip is going to allow them to be able to get into contact, into a closer zone so they're stronger. Okay, if you dip early, you can get sidestepped quite easily. Okay, but if you dip late, all right, you can get in nice and close. You can avoid palms, or you can get rid of their palm, get in. And that's going to help out that strong foot position, okay, or strong feet. So the strong feet is going to allow you to stay on your feet. And you'll see a lot of kids miss tackles because they go off their feet. All right, they just try and drop down with them, okay, because either they've hit a lot of tackling bags in their time, okay, and this is where a lot of kids go wrong, is they hit a lot of tackling bags, okay, rather than doing a lot of late dip work, okay. So what they should be doing is a lot of repetition of actually getting in close, all right, starting in this close quarters and being able to drive into it. So I'm going to put up some footage of some of my clinics where we go over this, over this, over this. And what you do it from close quarters easy, and then you're going to make it harder and harder. Okay, so it means the defender is then, the ball carrier then can start having some movement, and you turn it into a game. So everything you do, you should do it easy. So easy, and then hard, and then a game, okay? And when you turn it into a game, if you can read that, when you turn it into a game is when you're going to get all the feedback you need. So you're going to record that and you're going to see, okay, what's happening? Okay, where are they going wrong here? And you'll see all the bad habits start to come back in the game, and then you just take them back to easy. And you go, all right, we need to work on this more. And this is why we've had to do my clinics, whether 10 weeks or 8 weeks, we do so much of this and a lot of this too, because if we get these two right, they're probably going to be in a good position to make a tackle, right? Which means we can reduce concussions because they're in a better position. And so I have an 8-week tackling program that I made, which is so much repetition. And like, I know I had one parent being like, you know, I think there's like 25 exercises. Oh, there's only 25 exercises. I was like, that's a lot of exercises over 8 weeks. You know, and he's like, no, I wanted more for my kids. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll give you a refund. And I knew he just doesn't get the concept. I'm like, the concept is you have to do this a lot, right? You don't want to do a whole bunch of different exercises where you don't get better. You want to do a few that are going to do the most, and you're going to do them so much that you get really good at it. And all you're going to do is go easy to hard to make it in the game, okay? And you can do that from all different positions, and that's what I've done. So strong in the feet position, strong wrap. How many kids just and players they just don't get their arms in? Now, not every tackle are you going to be able to get a strong wrap, okay? And because I've been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, I sort of grab my wrist, but I've always sort of been able to get around and grab my wrist. I'm not a tall guy, I'm not a big guy, so I always relied on doing a lot of chop tackles, okay? And so what I was really good at is getting around the legs and going bang and locking in. And that allowed me to be able to keep up, right? So strong wrap, that's a big one. So late dip, strong feet position, strong wrap. If you have those three, then you'll take down most people. As long as you get that, obviously you get a good timing on that contact. Okay, I should have put timing there, but it doesn't really go with the contact. So you need timing. Timing. And timing comes with practice. Okay, so all of this means practice. Practice, and deliberate practice. You can't just go into a season without doing deliberate practice. And you also can't just hit bags. Like, just hitting bags isn't really going to give you a lot of feedback. What you need is feedback so you know what to work on. And so you can do this relatively without a lot of contact. If you do a lot of stuff from close quarters, you shouldn't get a lot of injuries. And I know, because I obviously run a business in it, I don't want a lot of injuries, because that's going to be, one, bad for business, and two, like, you know, who knows what would happen. So I try and make a really close contact, like close quarters, and I find there's way less injuries, and if you warm up right, you shouldn't really get any. Okay, and this goes for staying on your feet. So all of these have little games. So I'm going to put up a couple of videos with this. So staying on your feet. A lot of kids, a lot of players, they just go off their feet, lose the tackle. Okay, so just be strong, get in a good position. And then you have to be able to wrestle. Okay, you need that wrestle on the ground. Like, if you want to be a true good tackle, whether you play league or union, you want to dominate them on the ground. Okay, so whether you want in union someone to come and get a jackal, then a good low tackle is going to really help out someone that's going to get a jackal. So if you have a really good pilfers on your team, and you can make a combination with someone, then you know you can chop low and you have someone over the top. It really makes for a good environment, and you can get a lot of turnovers that way. Whereas league, if you can learn how to wrestle, and you can really dominate and get on top of that ball and get under their elbows so they can't get a quick play of the ball, you're going to be doing your team a massive favor. And in union, even if you can win that dominance on the ground where they're going to have to roll, okay, so like say they've got to do an extra roll, it's going to slow down their ball. And so like making good tackles is also going to be slowing down the ball, or in union also opening up the ball for a good pilfer. Okay, so I want to reiterate that this needs a lot of practice. And all of these here, everything you need to do takes time. It takes you doing it over and over and over and over again. Okay, and the more you can do it over and over and over and over again, okay, and the more you can do it with feedback, so get your phone, put it out there, film it. All right, go to Kmart or whatever the big store is, you'll probably be able to get a phone holder or some sort of tripod, and you can set it up and you can film it. And the more you do that, you will get so much better. Okay, so like if you've got a couple players or you're a parent, you got kids, set it up, show them. You know, feedback, what do they do? Did they come off their feet? Did they miss the strong wrap? Did they not dip very late? Okay, start them all easy. Start it so where they can do it over and over and over again, and then make it harder. Okay, so if you make it harder, all you might do is just get the ball carrier to start walking forward. So that means you're going to get timing, and they've got to, and that timing is going to throw off that strong wrap, so it makes it a bit harder. Okay, then you might make the ball carrier run from a meter away with a bit more vigor. Okay, a bit more spice about it. Okay, and then you might turn it into a game. You tell the ball carrier they've got to run 2 meters and try and score. Okay, and then from that 2 meters away, you can start learning how to tackle. So I also like to incorporate a lot of wrestling drills into our program for rugby players, because it's going to help them get their head close to contact and be able to use their body. You know, sometimes they'll get scrappy like this, but for kids especially, it's really good for them to learn how to scrap a little bit and how to be tough and toughen them up. So if your kid's not confident going into contact, get him into wrestling. It might seem a lot, but really it's getting the basics down and doing them so much that it's just ingrained into your brain. And if you can ingrain tackling into a kid's brain, you're going to make them safer tacklers. So like they're going to have less injuries and definitely less concussions. And you are just going to make them confident out in the field. They're probably going to enjoy it so much more. Okay, and if you're an older rugby player and you still want to work on your tackling, you can. It's a skill. It is a skill. That's why I recommend doing some sort of wrestling or something in the off season, because if you do some sort of wrestling, you're going to get used to getting your head into those uncomfortable positions. Okay, so wrestling, judo, BJJ, whatever it may be, do something where there is contact. Okay, so if you've got a kid and you want to make them a little superstar, then yeah, do some extra wrestling. Go and find a wrestling class and do that on top of a bit of extra strength training. Or do some extra tackling with them during the week, 2 sessions a week, and man, they will become a different player. They'll be so much more confident. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please hit me up on Rugby Development Coach on Instagram. Please check out all our programs. We have our link. I'll put the link to our tackling program right below if you want it. If you don't, that's fine. I'm all good with that. We have all of our exercises on our app too, so you can download our free app. All the exercises are there. You can make your own programs. I try to make it as free as possible, but also there's programs there because that helps, fund the whole operation and make this bigger and bigger. So thanks for your time, and please like, share, and subscribe. That really helps me out.